Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. The Red Bull Wololo Legacy continues. We are on the quarterfinals, and as you can see, we have got Leenock on the west side of the map in yellow, playing as the Beastyqt dynasty. Beasty in blue, in the Mongols on the east side of the map, and he is starting off the game with an outpost rush as the Mongols. As you'd expect, the Beastyqt dynasty well on the way in the feudal age now, with the archer range already up and running. Going to be looking to push this back a little bit, and we did miss the first few minutes of this opening match, but we have got up to five fantastic games. It is a best of five. We shall see how far we need to take this and how dominant either player might be. As we can see, that outpost almost going to be going up with the one villager building it, and Beastyqt just going to bide some time, trying to put some pressure on the front line. Did get an outpost on the west side, denying the berries as well, as you might be able to see on the top left with Leenock. Now looking to try and push this back slightly, is establishing a little bit more of a safe presence on the map now with Gorge. Woodlines can become a problem, and you can understand really the pick here for Beasty going for the Mongols, as he does now get to the feudal age himself. Looks like Leenock going to try and take this down, the outpost, and this is a nice play that you can often do to try and deny outpost rushes, because of course arrow slits is a big problem. You can only get arrow slits in the feudal age, and with Beastyqt just getting the feudal age now, Leenock wants to take that down before he has the chance to get that technology in that outpost, and he does deny that outpost, so he can go back onto the berries, as we now see the Khan being annoying on that woodline. There's a lot of stone in that southern portion of the map, and that could be somewhere that Leenock decides to expand to. The Beastyqt dynasty often looking to get that second town centre expansion. We shall see if that's something he's able to do as the match progresses. The Mongols being aggressive though, so I'm sure Leenock will need to try and stabilise as best as he can. He'll be conscious of the possibility of Beastyqt either doing one of two things, either going for a high castle age pressure, or maybe staying in the feudal age for now and increasing the military production to put even more pressure in this particular age. And it does appear to be that case. You know, he's going for a stable, and it does have that barracks obviously he opened up with. Does have a fair few villagers on gold, 5 in total, so it remains to be seen exactly how much he commits here, Beasty, into the feudal age. Does have a couple of horsemen there looking to push back those archers, and it's a natural transition obviously as you can play this game out. You know, Beastyqt opening up with spearmen, making the Beastyqt dynasty go into archers, which then Beastyqt is now following up with horsemen. Trying to harass the villagers on gold. Quite a lot of villagers on that gold for Leenock, because on this map the gold is very exposed, and I suspect Leenock's going to try and gather as much gold as he can, whilst he still can, because he's under pressure here, with Wheelbarrow going to be coming in shortly for Leenock, as well as Beasty. Both players actually queuing up, and in fact Beastyqt unqueues that. He's actually in fact going to go for survival techniques, maybe looking to get faster gathering resources from huntables, as we see an outpost going down the southern woodline, southern part of that west woodline on the west there, and that's going to be significant because Aristus is coming in, and that's an issue for Leenock to deal with. I'm not sure if he spots it, because well, woodline is a pretty scarce resource on this map, the gorge, and looks like the horseman can take an engagement, going to head in and fight against the spearman. Khan in the back line of that horseman line, and it does take care of the spearman, and that enables him to put a bit more pressure. Another spearman does come out for Leenock, and I suspect Beastyqt will want to pull out from there. He does pull out for the Aristus is in there as well, and Leenock's going to find out about it soon enough as the Aristus do start to attack the villagers. And Leenock needs to be careful. He's not spotted it just yet. Look at this play by Beastyqt. He has the presence of mind for the outpost with the Aristus to start weakening those villagers, and he dives in with the horsemen. Now the horsemen are going to garrison themselves in that outpost just to solidify that position, and now Leenock has to migrate. He needs to find another safe woodline. Where will he get it from, as he does start to now get Wheelbarrow, making those villagers move even faster? He's getting the upgrade for his spearmen, but it looks like Leenock needs to actually push this back a little bit. Mongols being super aggressive, and look at this behind this. Mongols, 445 gold, 500, 700 food. He is looking to go to the castle age soon, Beastyqt, playing this incredibly nicely. And if you guys saw the earlier rounds of Red Bull Wololo Legacy, Beastyqt was on fire, and I have to be honest, with what I've seen so far, I would not be surprised if Beastyqt goes all the way in this tournament and wins the whole thing. He's looking in phenomenal form, but of course the match is nowhere near done. Leenock has a lot to say for himself. He is also looking to get that boar, I think, in the north there, and this is just played so well for Beastyqt. That food income from that boar would be amazing, and it would be great for him to be able to benefit from that in the castle age, really pump out those units. Behind this, he has the presence of mind to get those outposts on his exposed gold as well, so it's going to be hard to raid him for Leenock. Yep, getting that boar meat there, and that is just going to be so fast as a source of food income. Archers here being assaulted by the horsemen. Village is going to join into the fight, and why not? Spearmen are going to be heading into that area as well. Does have the phalanx upgrade, I believe, so those spearmen are going to be very, very effective for the Abbasid dynasty. And you can just see how far away from that main base that woodline is, and the trouble for Leenock is that reinforcements coming into there will take some time. He's looking to get to the castle age himself. Look at Leenock's gold income coming right now. 11 villagers on that gold, and speaking of gold, it is the step redoubt, the landmark of choice for Beastyqt, and you can just see how purposefully he's placing his buildings. He's building the step redoubt close to the town centre. He's being safe, he's being secure, making sure that that age up cannot be denied. And of course, he'll move the step redoubt near the gold vein when he needs to. But these are small things that can just make so big differences in the the pro level scene. If Leenock was to have a standing army right now, he could be looking to try and deny any sort of uptech to the next stage, but he can't because underneath the town centre. The Abbasid dynasty does have siege engineering for free. He's able to get a ram on the field and pressure that outpost. As we head further into the north, the spearmen are going to be heading into that direction as well, looking to push that outpost. The outpost will go down eventually, but this is the time that Beastyqt needs to be able to get to that next stage. He is struggling a little bit on the gold income, so once he does get to the castle age, he'll only be able to spam out a couple of units. It's going to go to this southern, this eastern side gold vein there. A very juicy gold vein. He's going to be under pressure a little bit here because of Leenock's army. He's going up with the culture wing to the castle age himself, Leenock, so he's not too far behind. This does give a bit of a lead time for Beastyqt to build up a bit of an army. The only concern for him is that his Uvu is on the front lines, is currently being attacked, and that does mean that Uvu going down means he won't be able to double produce, and this is a good spot by Leenock. Going to be taking this the Uvu down and now piling the pressure further onto those production buildings. Now the production buildings can actually pack up and move for the Mongols if he so wishes, and we see that in action now. He's going to bring those back into safety, back to the capital town centre most likely. Has an outpost on that boar meat, playing this safely. You know, we saw in a previous set, Lucifron versus Iron Magic. Lucifron was, caught in pocket economies and was constantly being raided without those static defenses. Beastyqt making sure he doesn't do the same and keeping an eye and safety. He's being safe first. The army wrapping around the southern part of that base. He's possibly looking for where the other gold mines might be. Does have the ability to possibly cut off that gold vein in the east side if he spots it, but I'm not sure he's aware of it. He's going to look to instead try and pressurize these production buildings and the units that come out from them. But certainly with the castle age now well underway for the research for the culture wing, Leenock will be feeling a bit better about himself getting into that next stage. Ram is working its way on that barracks, biding his time. Spearman engaging on the Khan managing to ride away. I'm sure Beastyqt will pack up that barracks and does indeed, brings it back closer to the town centre. Now, Leenock keeping his army active, that's a key bit of detail as he does get to the next stage. Now, Beastyqt might take this as a signal to attack. He does only have one lance on the field though. Couple of man-at-arms, that'll be difficult for Leenock to deal with. Man-at-arms incredibly tanky in the castle age, no crossbows here, obviously, for Leenock. And he's going to take the engagement, but archers should be cleaned up here by the man-at-arms. But he's going to pull them away. Nice play by Leenock here, actually. He's going to engage with the spears and pull the archers, try and support the ram and try and pick off a villager too. I mean, he knows his army is going to die, but he just wants to get as much value as he possibly can. The good thing for Leenock is that he's keeping the man-at-arms at home for Beasty, and that is much more, it's definitely worth it, because the worst thing for Leenock to happen right now is for those man-at-arms to be running inside his base. As we see a prayer tent going up for Beastyqt, looking to try and repair that stable and make sure it doesn't burn to the ground. Does get a few hammers on it to survive, make it survive a bit longer. And villagers will come out and look to repair that stable again, I suspect. It's still on fire though. Beastyqt, I'm not sure if he's aware of that. Man-at-arms are continuing the chase on those archers. Heading into the mid-feudal age, 41 economy for Leenock, 43 now for Beasty. And looks like preservation of knowledge, it will be coming in for the Abbasid dynasty, reducing the cost of those upgrades. And what I like what Beasty's doing is keeping so much vision on the map with those outposts. Getting a lot of vision and knows exactly what's happening on large proportions of this map. Having that awareness, knowing where his opponent may or may not be, is so important in an RTS game like this. And on the west, a couple of attack notifications. It might be just the Gaia wolves. No, it's actually a lancer chasing the Khan, and I suspect the Khan might perish here. Yeah, okay, maybe not. He uses the attack movement arrow, and he is able to run out of there. As a lot of villagers do back off in that central berry patch. And I like what Leenock's done there. He used his period of map control where he had military on the field in the late feud age for him, early castle age for Beastyqt to take that berry patch, and now he can back away from that position. That was an exposed resource that he's taken advantage now, he's gathered it. Now he can perhaps look to take safer food. He might look to, well, he can't delete it now because the Mongols have actually started to attack it, and that will mean that Beastyqt will be possibly getting some raiding bonus. In fact, he doesn't decide to do that. He's actually going to go down more further on the west side, looking to cut off some villagers on the woodline. Crossbows are in there for Leenock, but not enough in numbers, and I think this is a fight that Beastyqt might take. But there are a decent number of man-at-arms there for Leenock. Does not have any blacksmith upgrades to help them, though. But now that does Beastyqt actually has bloomery, so man-at-arms for the Mongols will be a bit more tankier, and he decides to take that fight. Crossbows, though, do get the ranged attack on those man-at-arms, and bit of micro there will help Leenock for sure, as a couple of villagers will be perishing here for Beastyqt on the north. Does have a villager lead of 70 as the man-at-arms now dive on that gold vein for Leenock, and Leenock needs to address this. The man-at-arms spam is starting to really build up, and as you can see, Beastyqt using the stone that he had, most likely to double produce. Oh, a big raid here. Leenock losing villagers here on the west side of the berry patch. He's not aware of it. Beastyqt getting so much value just from a couple of lancers. That could be the difference in this game number 1 in Red Bull Wololo Legacy in its quarterfinals. And Leenock still not noticing. Small details. I say small, but this is huge. Villagers do now notice, but damage has been done. He might lose another. I suspect he will. Another does perish, and look at the village count now. He is 19 villagers down. And how does Leenock come back into this? I believe it looks like he's still on one town centre. And with this, Mongols are going to be looking to be dominant. He's going to look to translate this villager lead that he has into more military, and I mean he already has more military, 24 military on the field already, high premium units, as explained by the army value down on the bottom left of your screen. 3,600 army value for Beastyqt, 2,700 for Leenock. He's getting a bit of a revenge on the raiding there. Will possibly be able to pick off one more villager. He does. The Lancer loses its life, but does get some value. There is one relic on play for Beastyqt, and you can just see the macro is on point. Behind all of this, the raiding damage Beastyqt is getting, he has the presence of mind to pick those up, those relics up, and that's just going to push the economy even further. A shaman looking to pick up that relic, probably going to be sniped. Lancer is continuing the chase, but a couple of lancers there for Beastyqt looking to try and protect him, probably won't happen. Shaman is likely to go down there. Quite a few spears on the field here for Beastyqt to try and counteract the Beastyqt Dynasty Lancers. Trouble for Beastyqt is those crossbows. Crossbows will be doing good work here for Leenock. Doesn't have enough of them, you feel, at this stage. Needs a good mass of them taking a meaningful engagement. As we say that, here comes possibly a meaningful engagement with that that mangonel being built on the field by the Beastyqt Dynasty. Lancers there on the front line. A lot of those crossbows are pretty weak though, so a mangonel for the Mongols will do a good job as well. We shall see if Beastyqt decides to do that, as we see Spearmen heading in that direction, looking to counteract those lancers. They're heading that way, and if Leenock's not paying attention, that could be brutal, but he is paying attention, of course. And now the man-at-arms and spears in the south of that border there, moving further and closer to the Mongol army. Leenock having to move those villages again, but look at the economy for Beastyqt, looking strong. Don't forget the step redoubt, a really good bonus. Increases the amount of gold dropped off by 50%. Villagers off of that woodline. We talked about this, how woodline is so precious on this map. Lots of villagers are weak and perishing. 33 villagers to 53. Beastyqt looking in control of this game so far. Only looks like, the only way back here for Leenock is to be hyper-aggressive at this point. Mangonel is spotted there on the Fog of War. 2 relics already in play in that prayer tent. And this could be brutal. The pressure is starting to build up though. Leenock is trying to put some pressure. Beastyqt is one of these players that just does so well at defending. He sees the mangonel, might try and dive it. He decides to go forward for it. Lancer gets a good attack on it. And I think that with that mangonel going down, this is going to be a problem for Leenock indeed. Knights try and wrap around on the north. They're looking to pick off some of those crossbows. Does get a good wrap around here. Decent number of military here for Leenock. A lot of spearmen not really helping here for Beastyqt. They're not engaging against the lancers where they need to be. But the lancers are starting to dwindle in numbers. Quite a few man-at-arms there for Leenock. But he taps out. Leenock knows he's not going to win that fight. And Beastyqt takes game number 1 for Red Bull Wololo Legacy in this quarterfinals. And we're going to head into game number 2 very soon. Alrighty, game number 2, ladies and gents, between Beastyqt and Leenock, with Beastyqt being in the south corner of the map in blue as the Holy Roman Empire, and in the north, the French, being played by Leenock in yellow, the map being Dry Arabia. This is a big match for Leenock. He needs to pull one back. You don't want to go 2-0 down in a best of 5, not against Beastyqt at least. And Beastyqt looking strong. He is playing as the Holy Roman Empire, arguably one of his most favourite civilizations, it seems. He really packs a punch with this civilization, and this is going to be a tough order for Leenock, but he does have a very strong civilization in the French to try and counteract his opponent. The French, traditionally known as a very strong civilization in the feudal age. I mean, the Holy Roman Empire can play strong feudal age games as well, but that is not often what they are done because they have a really good power spike in the Castle Age, being able to go with the Rex Cathedral, and from then on, collecting those relics can really help them. Getting quite a few sheep here. It looks like, interestingly enough, Leenock has gone for a second scout. We saw him do this in one of the earlier sets in Red Bull Wololo Legacy, and it's starting to really pay off for him. He's getting a lot of sheep, rather surprising. And that will certainly help the French economy. The French often relatively dependent on food, and well, Leenock is going to have plenty of that. Actually, I'm not sure if this is Dry Arabia. I believe this actually could be Prairie. We'll have to double check that, but it does look quite possibly like Prairie. I say that because it's just the number of sheep. Prairie is traditionally known as having a lot of sheep, and I think this is Prairie because look at the wood lines. They're incredibly sparse, and that's what, you know, the Leenock and his French could do quite well here. The French do have a lot of mobility in those French Royal Knights, and could get some good raiding damage with those. So I take it back, apologise, it's not Dry Arabia for map number 2, it will be Prairie. 3 villages on the gold in the southern part of that base for Leenock, quite exposed on the front lines, so that can happen on this map. Everything very open. Going with the Ark and Chapel there, leaving plenty of space for farms to be seeded around the Ark and Chapel and that town centre. Interesting to see how Beastyqt decides to play this, because he is likely to be under a lot of pressure in the feudal age. And so he will need to try and defend quite well against that to try and stop himself being put too far behind. We saw in the other quarterfinal set between Iron Magic and Lucifron the power of the French in the feudal age. Scouting continues, and still a missing sheep there, believe it or not. Ark and Chapel goes up there for Beastyqt. Actually managed to inspire those villages on stone. It looks like it's going to be a second town centre from the Holy Roman Empire. This could be crucial because that second town centre likely to go on another wood line to protect it and make sure he has safe wood income. A nice little touch there for Beastyqt. The French going up with the School of Cavalry as expected, and we'll be looking to most likely see some French Royal Knights very, very soon. Wheelbarrow coming in for Leenock as well. Scouts keeping active, making sure they're just watching out what happens. Scout very purposefully just hanging outside of that School of Cavalry, just to see when a French Royal Knight might pop out. I think he sees that archery range. That's a crucial bit of information. He will be expecting that feudal age pressure now, Beastyqt, as he does move those villages away from that stone pile. Does have 350, so he will be able to afford that second town centre. Going to move the villagers to wood. It'll be interesting to see where he places that second town centre, possibly near that wood line and the gold. And possibly the barriers. That'd be a very significant position to be able to maintain and control for the Holy Roman Empire here. It has to be careful though, because the French Royal Knights might be coming out soon. And that is indeed the case. That's where he's putting that town centre. The French Royal Knights on their way, villagers accompanying them, maybe for some outposts. The French Royal Knight going to be riding to that position, takes out the scout there. Will be harassing the villagers, but as you can see, Beastyqt very purposefully using a lot of villagers to build that town centre, so the town centre will go up, but with some casualties that Leenock will be very happy about. 2 villager 2 villagers in the lead there, building an outpost on that position as well. A strong play here, going to be quite aggressive. And I mean, the thing is, the Beastyqt notices that he might actually start to pull villagers to try and take that outpost down, and why not? And there's no knights there, so he's actually just garrisoning the villagers in the town centre. That's the problem for Leenock. He's going to lose villagers here. Leenock not reacting, and he loses 2 villagers. The outpost will not go up, you feel. It's so close. No, it's in range. Oh, the villagers do go down. 3 villagers lost there on that outpost. That's a massive, massive setback there for Leenock. Lots of idle time with those 3 villagers, and they actually die as well. Leenock going to send another 4 villagers. He is committing Beastyqt to going to double down in this position, get an outpost of his own. Despite a knight charging in there, may take... No, I mean, the micro is on point. He might lose 1 villager, but he tries to body block with the scout, and the outpost will go up for Beastyqt to try and prevent that outpost going up for Leenock. And this is looking strong here for Beastyqt. He has made his opponent commit, and well, I mean, Leenock lost a lot there. Those 3 villagers. He's sending 4 more villagers, and I think those 4 villagers are going to lose their life as well. The outpost might go up, but it's already on fire practically, and the outpost for Beastyqt are going to do a lot of work. Villagers do garrison inside in time. Only 3 of them, but I mean, it just feels like they're never getting out now, and I think Beastyqt will be very happy with that initial engagement in this map and the second game, and this could be a difficult and tall order to ask for Leenock to come back from this. Araslitz is coming in now soon for, well, both players it seems. The good thing for Leenock is that he does have a lot of sheep underneath that town centre. And that will sustain his economy for a while, but the 2 town centres now for Beastyqt means that he actually in fact has the villager lead. Despite the French town centres obviously working faster. Looks like Leenock may be opting for a second town centre himself. Does have 10 villagers on stone. It does appear to be the case, so Leenock wants to get a second town centre of his own, and he actually invested in upgrading that outpost in that position. He wants to try and deny that gold, and he is doing a decent job of it. You know, whilst that outpost is there, it does mean that Beastyqt can't safely take that gold. He'll have to get his gold fixed from elsewhere. As a result, Beastyqt actually has 0 villagers on gold, so it's good gold denial here for Leenock. Overall, not too bad actually, having the outpost upgraded, but he did lose, you know, three villagers at the start, and then, you know, 2 villagers from then on as well. There's that second town centre now for Leenock and the French. Going to protect his gold mine. As you can tell now, Blacksmith has been built for Leenock. Getting that Bloomery upgrade for free. The attack upgrade for the melee units, as we see. Barracks going there for Beastyqt. 2 of them, and double stable as well. So it looks like it might be Horsemen and Spearmen. Possibly man-at-arms, but I suspect not. Oh, looks like Leenock going to try and take that Prelate out, and that was a good pick off there. Might be looking to take another villager. Might need to head out of that position with the knights. One knight will go down, and quite possibly another. It's a bit expensive, a loss there. Knight garrisons inside that outpost, and there's no chivalry just yet for the French. He will be looking to try and get that upgrade to let those knights heal up nicely. As we see, a barracks coming out for Leenock there as well. Economy dead even for both players at the moment, but the 2 French town centres will be working faster. As we see now, Beastyqt moving on the east side of the map, the southeast, for that gold, sending a lot of villagers, because he'll be looking to maybe transition into the castle age behind this. Does have Spearmen, Horsemen coming out though. So yep, the French really extending the feudal age, and the Holy Roman Empire obliging here. Chivalry coming in for the French. It'd be interesting to see if Beastyqt decides to continue the feudal age, or just the timings here when he decides he may be safe to go up to the next stage. He will need a large standing army for it to be, you know, not too risky. Doesn't have any blacksmith upgrades himself, or any eco upgrades here. It seems Beastyqt doesn't have wheelbarrow, which is rather surprising at this stage of the game. 10 minutes in. relying on straggler trees there on the Ark and Chapel. And it's slowly starting to transition into farming economy there, Beastyqt. The southern part of the economy nicely defended with an outpost and spearmen. Looking to get the berries as well. Nice bit of pocket economy there for the Holy Roman Empire. Heading forward with a couple of horsemen just to keep the knights back at home for Leenock. Look at the food and the gold though. The economy looking so strong there for Beastyqt in the Holy Roman Empire. And you know, the prelates really have a big part to say in that. Looks like Beastyqt might be edging towards that castle age. But will it be something that Leenock can punish? Couple of horsemen do go down there on the back of Leenock's base, and yep, but Beastyqt just keeping them active and alive, keeping them moving. A lot of inefficient workers there for Leenock going for straggler trees, but that can often happen in Prairie. The woodlands are just so sparse. Now behind this looks like Beastyqt might be ready to go to the next stage. Leenock struggling. I mean, the thing for Leenock's economy is that whilst he's got equal number of villagers, don't forget the 40% boost that the Holy Roman Empire get from the prelate. We've got Wolf there, bitey infantry on the tooltip. That's what they're described as, bitey infantry. Farming transition continues. Villagers really long distance taking that lumber. And he's only getting wheelbarrow now. I'm not sure if that's purposefully done or... Actually, I think it might... I'm not sure. I mean, that wheelbarrow probably would have paid for itself if he got it earlier. He's going to go for the Burgher Palace here. It looks like Holy Roman Empire and Beastyqt are going to be aggressive in the Castle Age. He doesn't want to hang around. He wants to see this game out soon. Not dilly-dallying with the Relics Cathedral and relics. There's a lot of villagers being brought back home by Beastyqt. Wants to keep that economy safe. There's a lot of idle villagers here. Knights are diving in with the archers in behind. Spears go down there for Beastyqt. Beastyqt has very minimal number of military. Only 5 on the field. 28 for Leenock. This could be an opportunity for Leenock to be aggressive. I think he senses the uptime. He senses the tech up to the Castle Age. 28 military. Ram is starting to be built on the field as well for the French. And you know, Beastyqt could be in trouble. He's sending villagers on the west side now for the berries rather, and Leenock might fancy his chances here in game number 2 on Prairie. Here come the Rams going for the production buildings first. I like this move. It means that Beastyqt will find it difficult to replenish that army. And while he doesn't have a lot of wood, a lot of about 3 horsemen trying to take down that ram, doesn't quite manage to do so. And there's that second ram. 2 rams are going to start to really make good work against this. There's that Castle Age. And now really that decision to go to Burgher Palace is really going to help. He's going to get the Castle Age Man at Arms upgrade. And there's actually a window of opportunity for Beastyqt to push us back. As long as he keep those barracks alive. Well, he doesn't even have to because he's got the Burgher Palace. And so the 3rd barracks will be coming out for Leenock. Leenock will need to do some damage here. As much damage as he can. Because he will be facing up against the Castle Age army. Which he will struggle to face up against. Because Man at Arms, Castle Age Man at Arms, they're very hard to counter when you're in the feudal age. You just need to take effective trades really. And we also see emergency repairs coming in for the Holy Roman Empire. So Beastyqt going to be able to keep that stable up and alive for a little bit longer as a 3rd ram. Once that 3rd ram comes out though, that could be quite precious for Leenock. He's going to take out this forward position and the barracks and the stables. But the trouble is that Burgher Palace will continue to produce men at arms. Trouble for Beastyqt is struggling to fund that. But if he can build up a bit of a mass of units, then that would be helpful. But he taps out. Holy Roman Empire calls it on Prairie. Leenock evens up the set. And wow, this could be a great best of 5. We shall see who ends up winning this series. Because we're going to be moving on to game number 3 very soon. Leenock winning the 2nd game, leveling up the series. Okay, welcome back. Game number 3 between Beastyqt and Leenock, with Leenock spawning on the west side of Mediterranean in yellow as the HRE, the Holy Roman Empire, and Beastyqt on the east side in blue, playing as the Rus, going for that early dock, using villagers to collect that shorefish. And we're seeing this commonly on Mediterranean because often the actual shoreline can be quite close to your town centre, and it gives you the opportunity to move villagers out there to gather shorefish. It's an incredibly fast source of food that Beastyqt is now taking advantage of, getting bounty by killing the deer, and looking as a good opening here for Beastyqt, finding that deer pack in the north, 2 deer packs in fact, and that'll be good for the bounty and that gold income for him for sure. On the west side, Leenock getting a dock of his own. Holy Roman Empire against the Rus. It's a fascinating matchup, and I have to feel like the Holy Roman Empire kind of do a bit better here. You feel like on hybrid maps and water maps, you know, the top civilizations are things like the HRE, the Chinese, and in some ways the English as well. But the Rus traditionally have done well on water maps in the past with pre-balance, the current balance that there is with water. You know, the Rus fishing ships, they are double the price, 150 wood, so it's rather a large investment. Wood is something that comes quite naturally though to the Rus, with the wooden fortress boosting up wood income by 20%. As we see two fishing ships gathering food for the Holy Roman Empire there already. It'd be interesting to see, because now we do have the rock, paper, scissors format and balance for the water, with the archer ships, springald ships and the demolition ships. That'd be fascinating to see. We haven't seen Rus being played all that much on the hybrid maps, and maybe Beastyqt has a trick or two up his sleeve, and you know, it wouldn't be too surprising if that would be the case, being one of the best players in Age of Empires 4 right now. A bit of a battle for sheep, a bit of a battle for the hunt as well. They're not looking to deny the bounty. Okay, Beastyqt will get some there, and it's going to turn into a bit of a micro fight. I think it's just going to both kind of get as much value as they can. Oh, I'm not sure who got that. I think that was Leenock actually. So good denial of the bounty there, and that one belongs to Beastyqt. Gets that 10 gold there. As both scouts now head down towards the south, I think Beastyqt will head back home. He got a lot of bounty though. He got his 2 home deer packs, and also denied some of the deer that Leenock had as well. And I'm not sure, did he get the ones on the northwest? If he did, that'd be fantastic. Unfortunately, in the current overlay of the capture age, we don't actually have access to, or the information of how much bounty Beastyqt actually just got there. But we can tell from the gold it's a decent amount, 280 gold already. Hasn't clicked wheelbarrow. It's gone up to delay that. It's very difficult to get a Dark Age wheelbarrow now, or at least it's more difficult at least for the Holy Roman Empire, so for the Rus rather, because of the fact that now they don't get gold from sheep. But prior to the most recent patch, killing sheep actually got them gold, but unfortunately they're not able to get that little bit of bonus, bit of a nerf to the Rus there in the most recent patch. We see 3 lodger fishing ships. Quite an extensive fishing boat number there for the Holy Roman Empire. Now don't forget the Rus fishing ships, they are more efficient, do come up with a double the cost though. They're more efficient because they don't actually have to transport that food back to the dock to deposit it. And it does take a bit of time for that to pay back though, with the double the cost. And the Golden Gate going to be going up with 7 villages there for the Rus, 6 villages for the Arkham Chapel. Both players actually clicking up at relatively similar times, but the 8 villages now for the Golden Gate will mean that Beastyqt will get to the next stage a little bit quicker. I say a little bit quicker, but it's probably more, you know, it's going to be a good climbing here for the Rus. Second dock being invested in for Leenock, and I mean, the feudal age uptime is significant, but it's not hugely significant, because in the grand scheme of things, to actually cross the pond from Mediterranean with your navy, it does take time, and that lets your opponent actually build up a bit of a, you know, army reserve, and going to benefit from the defender's advantage. It's only really when the times have a huge amount of discrepancy that it really starts to kick in and make a big difference, as we do see that feudal age come in now for Beastyqt and the Rus. Quite a few villages on that gold vein. Could be a source of pressure that Beastyqt could apply on land, but oh, this is interesting. He's going to convert those lodger fishing ships into galleys, and we saw this a lot in the earlier stages of Age of Empires 4 in the early meta. You know, converting these fishing ships into attack boats. He does get some value already. He's going to idle a lot of the economy, gets 1 fishing ship, and this is an interesting tactic. We used to see it in Boulder Bay and other water maps like that, this happening routinely. Picks apart 2 fishing ships. Leenock will be a little bit concerned about that, and as long as he can get to the next stage himself, might look to try and get some of those springald ships to counteract this. As a couple of walls are being picked up by Beastyqt, be great for the bounty system. So we see 1 galley and 1 springald ship coming out there for the Holy Roman Empire. We did get a sneak peek of some demolition ships there, 1 for each player. And we might start the little bit of a Navy war battle dance here, as the Hulk heads forward, and Beastyqt keeping an eye on that. Oh, there's the demo ship coming in. Leenock will need to back away from that. The Muslim? It's actually Beastyqt, of course, looking to maybe snipe that Springle ship. Heads back home, wants to build up a bit more of a mass though, before he engages. Speaking of the Muslim, we did see his set yesterday, and I have cast it out on the channel, so do check it out if you're interested in that Decider set, which was between, I believe it was Marinord, yeah, it was Marinord and the Muslim. It was a fantastic set of Age of Empires 4. So if it's something you've missed and would be liking to catch up on that, it's worth checking it out. Military on the Navy side of things starting to build up here for Beastyqt, sending some fishing ships forward. Those are likely to convert very soon. A larger demolition ship just kept on the front lines and keeping things honest there for Leenock. But Leenock is lagging behind a little bit on villager count, and I suspect that's probably mostly down to the waters. I think he lost a few fishing ships there, really, didn't he? Couple of galleys. Leenock going forward just to see what he can find. Demolition ship, and I think Beastyqt is going to sniff this out. He actually wants to pressure this. He knows he has the numbers advantage. Defender's advantage might be there for Leenock. Getting a couple more reinforcements. Takes the engagement here. Does lose one. Oh no, it doesn't lose one actually. Beastyqt still has one very low health ship working for him. Demolition ship does get a good hit off there. And this might be pushed back though for the Rus. Beastyqt going to have to retreat. The defender's advantage coming in clutch there for the Holy Roman Empire. And now he can stabilise a little bit more here, Leenock. Although this is going to be the back and forth you feel that you often have on water. As Beastyqt is going to head back home, but then reinforce his army and head out to fight again. And he's going to be healed up with those units. Oh, Leenock has to get away from that, but he won't. Demolition ships have a higher movement speed. Good split up there by Leenock just to minimise the damage. Does lose one Springald ship though, and now has to head back home. It's a back and forth. Demolition ship for Leenock is pretty low on health. He's going to head forward and might be sniped. Oh, Beastyqt almost looked to snipe that, and he almost did. And Leenock might be heading forward again now. Back and forth on the waters. Nothing much happening on land just yet. But Leenock wants to pressurize again on the waters. Wheelbarrow is in play now for Rus, but not for the Holy Roman Empire. That will have a bearing on the economy as we see a fight on Navy now. And it looks like it's a fight that Leenock might win, but that could change as time goes on. Demolition ship for the Rus doesn't achieve too much there, but the reinforcements coming in thick and fast from those docks quite quickly. And both players trying to micro their heart out here. Looks like Beastyqt should be able to win this fight. We shall see, because he is struggling, bringing those boats back home to be healed up a little bit. And he's holding on for now. Demolition ship is there on the waters there for the Rus. Could look to try and get some value, but yeah, it's a difficult one for Leenock because he's going to need those reinforcements coming in soon. He might be looking to snipe the fish instead as we now actually move away from there. Okay, Springald does get a good few hits on that fishing ship, but that fishing ship's pretty tanky. It does take some time for it to be taken apart, and quite the navy developing here on the north aspect of that Mediterranean pond. Or lake, I should say, really. Hunting cabin on the north here, getting 43 gold per minute. Not too bad for the Rus. The gold passive generation will certainly be helping his economy. And a bit of an engagement here. Leenock is looking to do some damage, but going to be chased down by Beastyqt and the Rus. Leenock heading in that direction towards his base. This could be the big fight that we've been waiting for. Everything's sort of building up to this, and I'm just not so sure Leenock has the numbers he wants to engage this with. Springald emplacements trying to get the shots off on the archer ships as best as possible. Demolition ships always heading forward to threatening to attack, but Leenock does have quite a few weak ships there. He needs to be careful. His army isn't fully fighting together. There's a couple of units there on the south that weren't actually joining in the fight. Now Leenock does have to retreat. Food income looking very nice though for Leenock and the Holy Roman Empire. 600 to 700 food already in the bank. Maybe think about that castle age soon. But not too soon, because feud age pressure might start to build up as a barracks is being put down by Beastyqt in response to seeing that horseman. He knows his opponent has a stable now, so he's actually going to go for double barracks. Looks like he's going to spam out those spears. Horsemen heading that direction as well. Villager being pulled to actually get some wooden walls, some fortified palisade walls to secure that position. As we turn our attention to the waters again, and it's going to be a big fight here. The two demolition ships there for the Rus, looking to get close as they can to do some damage, but Holy Roman Empire and Leenock does have two demolition ships of his own. That wood line would need quite possibly to be refreshed. Quite a lot of walking distance, and there's no wheelbarrow in. It's coming in soon now for Leenock, but better late than never. Three demolition ships do head into there and gets great value there. A lot of the demolition ships damage has been done for the Holy Roman Empire. And look at that, Leenock heading back now. The demolition ships are on the chase though for Beastyqt. There are four of them trying to get some revenge. Doesn't get much value from the first. Oh, this could be huge for the Rus. He detonates the demolition ships. Doesn't do too well for the second and third. Does well for the fourth. But overall, Leenock manages to get out of there pretty unscathed, and you want to heal up and have another attack at it, another stab at it, you feel. And Beastyqt doing well on the eco side of things, 58 villagers, or at least 58 eco to 45. Spearman upgrade coming in for the Rus and Beastyqt soon. Looks like a barracks is going to be put down for Leenock, maybe for some man-at-arms, we shall see. Palisade walls are starting to be built there on the north with a gate being placed, and that will offer a lot of protection there on the north side for Beastyqt. He is aware of the potential danger against the Holy Roman Empire in the feudal age. And this is interesting actually. Not refreshing that woodline is not necessarily a bad call because you know, Olos, of course there is an increased walking time, but the villagers are actually walking into the zone of the Arkan Chapel, so they're actually being buffed up there. It'd be super interesting to see some calculations to see if that, you know, what's more efficient. Is it better to have a closer placed lumber camp, or is it better to have that inspiration? And I feel like it possibly, I mean, if you're just having a think about it, 40% boost up in terms of speed of gathering is pretty huge, and I suspect maybe the Arkan Chapel inspiring there would be a bit better, but of course we might need a more formal standard, a more formal test. Maybe, you know, one for the likes of Age of Noob to do. The Navy Army really starting to build up. We might just see one big fight here potentially, and we do see the blacksmith upgrades coming in now. For Leenock, going for Steeled Arrow. He hasn't had this fight so far, and Beastyqt already has got it in the bank, and I think Leenock going to take the engagement. He is going to be waiting for that upgrade to come in, and an upgrade might come in during the fight. We shall see. Demolition ship does get taken down there for the Rus. That's a good pick off there for Leenock. Might need to pick off another. He does pick off another. Demolition ship's not getting the value they wanted there for the Rus. And there's one in the north. Does he manage to take it out? He does just about. But I think the demolition ship did get some damage. And this is the big engagement that we're expecting on water. Looks like, you know, Beastyqt probably going to win this one. Looks like it's going to snowball out of control. Leenock losing a lot of HP on these units, and I'm not sure he's going to be able to hold on. And this could be a big change in this fight, in this game. Although things are starting to swing a little bit here. It's a bit difficult to tell, but there are a lot of weak units there, and it does appear to be the case that the Rus are going to be winning on water there now. Leenock heading back home. He needs to replenish. It does have two demolition ships. He needs to stop that tide of war going in on the waters. There's a couple of units coming into that wood line there for Leenock. Needs to be careful. And he's sending the ships in again. There are a lot of them on weak health. Demolition ships try to edge forward. One of them does get sniped by the archer ships there for the Rus. Couple of man-at-arms going forward, spearmen coming out for Beastyqt. And demolition ships added to the mix again. 4 of them, there's one hidden there at the back, and this could be great value for Beastyqt, is keeping the demolition ships alive, not wanting to waste them on the fishing ships, but do not blame them. Those units are pretty stacked up there for Leenock. Demolition ships coming in the south, demolition ships coming in for the Holy Roman Empire did a lot of damage, and this is quite difficult to tell who will win this, but there are 3 more demolition ships coming in for the Rus. Detonates 1, detonates 2, detonates 3, gets good value, and now this might spiral out of control. Leenock might be losing water here. The series is still 1 apiece, and whoever wins this game will be looking to, you know, they'll be taking a big step forward towards the next stage, but a long way to go in this series so far. A lot of those villagers will go down to the spearman. He's just going to fight with those villagers, it seems, Leenock, and he's behind on eco units. He's going to lose all his navy here. 3 docks remain, and demolition ships are coming out, and those fishing ships are in danger. And he taps out. Leenock taps out. Beastyqt wins game number 3, and this series is heating up. In this best of 5, match point will be in play now, because Beastyqt, if he wins the next one, he will be progressing to the semi-finals, but I'm sure Leenock will have something to say about that. Hold your horses, ladies and gentlemen. We will be going into game number 4 very soon. Well, welcome back. Game number 4, Dry Arabia, a Delhi Sultanate mirror. And we have not seen a mirror matchup in Red Bull Wololo Legacy up until this point. It's because of best of 3s. You don't really run into that problem, but now we're heading into the best of 5 stages. We can see we have got a Delhi Sultanate mirror, and it's going to be an interesting one because this will come down to, really strategic moves. Both players having access to the same civilization, the same bonuses, the same units, the same everything. Only thing that's different really is the map generations and spawn on Dry Arabia today. Beastyqt in the northwest, in blue, as the Delhi Sultanate of course, and Leenock in the southeast, in yellow. Also, as the Delhi Sultanate, it's going to be a battle for those sacred sites, battle for the relics, battle for everything on this map. And, Beastyqt might be fancying his chances here. He just needs one more win and he'll be progressing to the semi-finals. Leenock desperately needs a win here to stay in this tournament. If he doesn't, he will be bowing out and heading away from Castle Heidelberg in Germany, which is where this LAN event is being held. This $300,000 Red Bull Wololo Legacy tournament is being held, and we're excited to see this match because this is an important match for Beastyqt and Leenock. Both players alike, they both did meet up against each other in the N4C tournament, the previous LAN for Age of Empires 4, of course, Beastyqt triumphing on that occasion. And so Leenock will want to try and get a bit of revenge. I'm sure it's a completely different environment, different tournament, different setting, different time. But, it's probably one of those things that Leenock hasn't forgotten. And he will want to try and prove himself against Beastyqt today in this game. And he will need to win the next 2 games in order to do so and be triumphant today. As both players getting that efficient production and wheelbarrow, pretty much the same times. The technologies are absolutely free for the Delhi Sultanate, of course, and both players are making advantage and taking use of that. Dome of the Faith is the landmark of choice for Leenock. No real surprises there. I suspect it will be the same for Beastyqt, but time will tell. And we haven't seen a Delhi Sultanate mirror in a very long time, so very excited to see how this one pans out. She being brought back by Leenock. It is indeed going to be the Dome of the Faith for Beastyqt a little bit later up than his opponent. And the only real significant part of that will be the fact that the eco upgrades will be able to be queued up a little bit quicker for Leenock, as long as he's completed the ones that are queued up beforehand, whether it be forestry or you name it. Well, there's forestry coming in now for Beastyqt. Looks like the lumber camp was built first for Beastyqt. Leenock will be getting that lumber camp and has queued up forestry now as well. So interesting slight adaptations and differences in the builds, but not all too different, of course. So only so much variation you can have in mirror matches at this stage, but I'm sure those variations will continue to happen as the game goes on. But one thing has to be brought into consideration is the deer pack spawns. It's kind of quite rough there for Leenock. One further forward and then northwest of his base, and there's one super south. Beastyqt has access to the deer packs a bit more in the north and the south, a little bit more favourable potentially. But of course berry patches is what the players will really want, and there's 2 berry bushes there in the northeast. Or the east rather of the map, and so Leenock will want to try and grab those if he can. Try and secure those positions. There is that tech up to the feudal age there for Leenock. Will be able to queue up Sanctity a little bit earlier than his opponent, which he hasn't quite done just yet, but I'm sure he will. Okay, Beastyqt now reaching the feudal age a couple of seconds later. Archer range is what's going to be opened with for Leenock, and it's going to be a barracks opening for Beastyqt. Will we see the 1-1-1 play here? 1 barracks, 1 stable, 1 archer range. We will have to see. The relics pretty evenly spread between the 2 players, it has to be said. Quite a fair map generation, and the same can be said about the sacred sites too. 2 are a little bit more on the north side of the map, and 1 certainly in the south. He cancels the barracks, and this is an interesting play here. I just wonder whether he put that barracks, and he may have spotted out the archery range and decided, oh no, let's not do that. Let's switch to a stable. But Leenock will be getting a barracks of his own anyway, so it'll be a barracks and archery range opening for Leenock. Beastyqt will be aware of that, and now with that scout in that position, will start to make his decisions. He's going for a stable and blacksmith opening. Actually going to get efficient production working there. Stable is now garrisoned with a scholar inside. It means that that stable will be working super fast. Double time, quick time. Okay, Spearman will pop out and now is getting the upgrade for that Spearman. 2 horsemen coming across the map there for Beastyqt will give him a bit of map control with the army going around and the mobility that will help. Looks like really that Leenock has gone for more of the infantry approach and that will actually slow him down on getting across the map, and that could be an interesting concept in this match, the fact that Beastyqt will have that mobility over his opponent. You see double broadaxe will be coming in soon for both players, and we see Iron Undermesh queued up. This is an interesting play because Beastyqt will have a strong army because of the fact that Blacksmith is now up and running. Now the Blacksmith is up and running for Leenock now as well, getting Iron Undermesh rather. It's very similar, both builds actually, has to be said. Very similar. Spearman keeping those villagers alive on the gold vein. More horsemen heading towards that position. The berry villagers, they need to be careful, need to keep an eye on that Leenock. He's going to bring those villagers back to the safety of the town centre. And the sheep that's there, we're gathering the safer food for the Deadly Sultanate and Leenock. Okay, scholars are hopping out now, looking to try and get those sacred sites. And this is interesting. I like what Beastyqt has done here. Going for stable units, has the presence on the map, and he has the mobility. And keep. I mean, these horsemen are acting great scouts as well. They may not necessarily need to engage as the walls are being placed down by Leenock. Beastyqt are going to head through, and try and harass some villagers. Spearmen are looking to build the wall rather than attack here, and that's a concern. Horsemen head towards the east side of the map now, and just going to drag away a spearman or two. And the horseman does engage there. It's not ideal for Beastyqt. It's going to come down very much to the micro. Gets a few hits there, that spearman. Looking to pick off a villager. I think Beastyqt needs to be careful not to run into too much trouble. He does lose a horseman, loses a lot of HP, and Leenock wants to wall that side up. But I mean, I like what Beastyqt is doing. Yeah, you may be thinking, oh well, he's losing so many horsemen, he's losing so many units, so much HP, but it can be a trade-off here because now this gives him the space and the room to get these sacred sites. As you can see, getting the southern one as well, and this is what the map control does for you. The first to aggress and be aggressive has this ability to move out onto the map. It's quite likely that he might take out that that wolf is that bite infantry. Biting that scholar has a central sacred site now, and that will actually Leenock will have to head out there, and he doesn't have the movement speed. That's the concern. He doesn't have stable units. Well, actually, he does have a stable unit now, but it's one of these things where he's already got access to the sacred sites, and that could be a difference because that's 150 gold per minute coming in for Beastie now, passively just by owning those 2 sacred sites. Well, now it's 2 sacred sites, so that'll be 300 gold per minute, and yep, it looks like Leenock's now going to send units there to try and decap them, but you know, 300 gold per minute ahead of your opponent is very significant. Looking to get the northern sacred site as well, and force Leenock into that wood investment with the palisades. Spearmen engage on the southern border of the map. Palisade walls are starting to go up there for Beastyqt with the archers. Looks like Leenock will be able to neutralize that central sacred site, but you know, gold has been trickling in for Beastyqt for now. Leenock actually going to be getting the northern sacred site, so Leenock re-establishing his presence on the map now. And the southern one as well. Oh no, he's actually contested from the southern one, really. Palisades are looking to be going up by Beastyqt. Now, we've seen some interesting strategies on the sacred sites. You know, we've seen some players actually walling up first and then sending their scholar inside to actually capture the sacred site, but it does need quite a bit of wood investment to do so. Leenock, keeping the majority of his army in the middle, captures that northern sacred site. Oh, no, wait, what? No, it's decapping that now. Beastyqt looking to challenge that northern sacred site. Horseman heads in the south. There is a spearman there for Beastyqt. We'll be looking to take care of that horseman. Berry patches on the west side being taken there for Beastie, making advantage of those pocket economies. Now Beastyqt should be able to stabilize that position in the south, get those palisade walls up. Leenock sends another horde of horsemen that way, and looks like Leenock is going to be wanting to get hold of this central sacred site, sending the spearmen to build up the walls. The bitey infantry walled out there just for now. Will be making his way around the walls though. Okay, looks like Beastyqt is going to go for that northern sacred site. Sounds a good chunk of army. But at this point, Beastyqt is the only one with a sacred site in his grasp, the southern one. And he's looking to take the north one as well. I quite like this play from Beastyqt. securing the northern and the southern sacred sites means that all he has to do, well, I say that securing, but there's horsemen there decapping that now. But I like the idea anyway. Go for the northern and southern sacred site means that the pressure for both players will be in the middle, and that will be traditionally done anyway. Both players will contest that middle, and it will need Leenock to peel away units towards the north and the south to try and decap that. But the palisade walls are starting to go up. He actually deletes there in the corner, I think, on that western side of that square. But that sacred site in the south is now being contested. Maybe it's not open actually. Horsemen are going to try and burn that gate down. We're looking, you can see the numbers. Players are looking very even. 36 villagers for Beastyqt, 38 for Leenock, and 37 military for both players there. So on the sacred site will be decapped very soon. Horsemen are wrapping around that wood line, looking to get some value of the villagers there, but he heads further west. Beastyqt sends some units there on the south, looking to wall that up again, and Scholar will be kind of looking to capture that sacred site again. Beastyqt keeping those villagers underneath that outpost, and not too much value had there by Leenock. But he's heading on the north part of the base as well, and Beastyqt's base is under pressure now. This could be an interesting phase of the game because Leenock being the aggressor earlier means he should be getting some value, but there are some horsemen there for Beastyqt being chased down by spearmen. Woodline has been idled there. Some good villager picks here for Leenock, 3 of them in the north. Whilst Beastyqt does have 2 sacred sites in his control, he's being pressured on land and he's lost a few villagers here and there. Looks like Leenock going to pressurize that archery range. I'm surprised he's not torching it down actually. Surprised that Leenock not trying to torch down that production building. In fact, it's going to try and raid that wood line, but there's quite a few units there for Beastyqt now on the east. And then in the north, there's a bit of engagements here. Leenock had to escape that position. There are quite a few villagers in that berry patch. Will Beastyqt notice? That's the question. He runs into those 3 spearmen. A good engagement there for Leenock. He'll clean that all up. And looks like Leenock quite happy to torch that down. And he'll be picking off 5 villagers here. Beastyqt under a lot of pressure. He loses a few villagers. Leenock's economy should be looking stronger at this point. And we'll be losing a scholar to the horseman as well, most likely. Although the scholar might make it out. He's got some good movement speed. He does get saved by those spears. Oh, good engagement there for Beastyqt. He takes 2 or 3 horsemen there on the retreat. And the trouble for Leenock is that his army is split. And Beastyqt looking to try and take advantage of that fact. Leenock trying to group his army together. Might sandwich his opponent actually. Might be losing a couple of scholars. There's a horseman in the back, but there's so many spearmen. Look at the military numbers for Beastyqt. It's actually less than Leenock technically, but it just looks like he has a lot of them in one location and one screen, and defender's advantage could work quite well. And the stealth forest, the spearmen engage, but the archers are so high in numbers, and the horsemen are going to wrap around. They're going to try and take an engagement. The spearmen are on chase there for Beastyqt. I think this is a fight that Beastyqt wins. He has more scholars. This could be a huge problem for Leenock. He's going to lose a lot here. He does have quite a few horsemen though, so those guys will be able to run away. That's exactly what he does. He has to sacrifice the archers. There's no way around it. Compound of the defender. The macro is on point here for Beastyqt. Beastyqt going to go to the castle age. Whereas Leenock is fully committed to the feudal age right now. And the food economy looking strong here. 900 food per minute for Beastyqt. That is going to translate into military and has enabled him to get to the castle age very soon. Going with 16 villagers building the compound of the defender. Leenock heading back home, trying to regroup, but has equal numbers of military. The trouble is that, well, his opponent is going to be in the castle age very soon. There is that castle age, getting the upgrades for his spearmen. And the significance of this is pretty big though, because it does also mean that the eco upgrades will come in nice and early for Beastyqt compared to his opponent, but Leenock might try and push here. Trouble for Leenock is he has a very similar number of military units, and he is going to look to push though. Don't forget this whole time as well, he's been fighting against 2 Sacred Sites versus 1, and Beastyqt will be very happy with that position. He knows that his opponent, you know, he's getting 150 gold per minute extra compared to his opponent, and it will be the compound of the defender being built by 16 villagers for Leenock as well. On the back of this though, Leenock is starting to gather stone, maybe looking to get a keep there. Neither player going for the House of Learning at all. Those were the two options. Beastyqt not on stone himself, so won't be looking to get a keep anytime soon. Good number of units going towards that northern wood line. As you can see, quite a few villagers on that stone mine. There is a scout there, so Beastyqt will be aware of that fact. And we'll be thinking about possibly being facing up against a keep drop. A lot of scholars there by Beastyqt, and that could be the difference here. Man-at-Arms being added into the mix. The fact that Beastyqt got to the castle age sooner does mean that you will have some highly armoured units that it can now push with somewhat. Army being pushed back by for Leenock. And that is a bit of concern. Leenock has to head back home, looking to try and get... Oh, Wololo, Beastyqt trying it. Leenock going to try and take out the monk, and he does. The scholar wasn't able to get the Wololo. Leenock pounced on it. The spears might engage against the knights, but there's so many scholars there. Archers versus archers. This is a fight that Beastyqt should be able to win, but the spears getting good value. Just the scholar numbers for Beastyqt looking very healthy. I think Beastyqt pulls away from this. If he loses the scholars, that will become a problem as the horsemen head in from the north. Wololo going in there for Beastyqt, trying to get the value, and he might get it. Oh, it was very close, but Beastyqt doesn't get the Wololo. Leenock doubling down now. He's going to win this fight, especially with the horseman, but another Wololo. Is he able to click on this Leenock? This could be huge. The Wololo does get some horsemen. He gets a few. That's a big pick there for Beastyqt. Gets the Wololo, and that was huge. He managed to get a couple of horsemen. That could change this fight completely. Man-at-Arms in the mix. That's a concern for Leenock. Doesn't really have any armoured units, as I say. But he does have crossbows in behind. Only a couple, 2 of them. The archers there for Beastyqt focusing on those crossbows. This could be the big fight in this game number 4. Wololo going off elsewhere. I'm not entirely sure. We're not focusing on that just yet. That's just it's a distraction. Beastyqt using it as a huge distraction. Trying to make sure that he gets the micro ability here, but there are a lot of man-at-arms. They start to disintegrate, and it looks like this is a great fight for Leenock in the back of this. Defender's advantage a little bit. You feel like the reinforcements were coming just a little bit faster. Scholars are going down. Beastyqt, he's got his back against the wall at this stage. Although it does have similar military numbers, but just took a bad engagement there, you feel. Leenock with more villagers, 57 versus 49. And behind this, you might be seeing a keep drop. This could be a nice staging ground for Leenock. He's fighting with the villagers. Wait, are those villagers? Yeah, those are villagers. He's going to fight with the villagers against the man-at-arms. I'm not so sure about that. This is a big painful loss there for Leenock. He needs to pull those villagers. Those villagers were idle for so long. I'm not so sure why he was so aggressive with it. He's going to go for the stone mine. Holy smokes, on the front line, but there are man-at-arms there for Beastyqt. That's not a position Leenock wants to be. Those villagers are entirely idle. The villager count is 51 versus 51 now, but there's a knight hacking away at those villagers, and Leenock committed too quickly, too soon. He thought he was going to be able to safely place that keep, and he was wrong because there's so many man-at-arms. He does have a couple of crossbows, but you just feel there's not enough, and fighting in the stealth forest, Leenock is going to be tapping out. Beastyqt progresses to the semi-finals. He wins the set 3-1 on Dry Arabia, the Delhi Mirror, and Beastyqt cements his place in the semi-finals. Commiserations to Leenock, did fantastic job to get to this level on this stage, but in the end it was just too much, and Beastyqt progresses to the semi-finals.